Entertainment in the United States of America is based off of the dysfunction of our existence through philanthropy and excessive compulsive behaviors. You have Scrubs, you have Will Trent, you have High Potential, you have Matlock, you have 911, you have any of them. It doesn't matter if it's a sitcom. It's people having a dysfunctional life and people finding it funny, or they're engaging in excessive compulsive and irrational behaviors. So there's nothing intelligent about manipulation of people. And it's just irrational to watch people, running around doing things irrational on TV and then watching it on the 6 o'clock news or the 10 o'clock news. Now, when you eliminate irrational, aggressive competition and delusions of success through competition, when you do things right, there doesn't need to be a competition. It just needs to be understood that you're doing things right. Okay. So when you forgive debt and trespass, you love one another with eternal faithful peace. There's no competition to that. Okay. And the aspects of manipulation, to be in control of people and resources, to feel powerful through human insanity, is eliminated. So, when a group of people get together through psychosis to feel, powerful or problem solving or adventuresome, and they talk publicly about it to manipulate people. And then they have the man that fulfills prophecy of their religion, anonymous, in one of their military headquarters. This entertainment, this irrational forms of entertainment that I'm watching right here before the news to see the weather report. It needs to stop. Yeah. This isn't funny. This isn't entertaining. This isn't exciting. This isn't really happening. Okay. This is people pretending this is really happening. And people will come home after being extorted and exploited and abused and take an interest in this manipulation, this extortion, and this abuse. Okay. It's very disturbing. It's very sad. And there's nothing beautiful about what we're doing. There's no intrinsic value to it. There's no redeeming qualities. It's just selfish and irrational. And so people that are selfish and irrational need correction, because we've been going through this kind of crap for tens of thousands of years, and every time there's an example of righteousness and right. They try to eradicate it and then turn it into fantasy that you live after you die. Okay. And then people get together and talk about the peace we're going to live later and how much better things are going to be later, after. Yeah. And it's wrong to think that way. That's wrong thinking. Obsessing on things that you want and trying to manipulate things that you want out of people puts all the things we need at risk. We know that by our cities and by the science projects. They're perpetuating the prolonged, unnecessary existence of our cities. Okay. That our cities should be dismantling and should be being put down as forms of, commerce and authority and human delusions of power. And that the ecosystems where our cities are located need to be restored. Because where our cities are at are the places where we could have such good ecosystems. When you look at the points where all our, quote, cities are at, the ecosystem there has the capacity to attempt to sustain large groups of people, but not at the rate in which we destroy it through our artistic expression we refer to as creativity, okay, and invention. And there's no necessity to that invention because it's all selfish. Okay. There's no share, caregiving, and accordance need built to last. Okay, it's just selfish displays of dysfunctional narcissism and people being cute and charming about it on commercials on TV. And how you haven't found it repugnant yet. Yeah. I know how distracted we were. I was distracted too. I didn't even know who Judah Krishnamurti was. I had to have a friend at the grocery store that I worked with in Cochise County who found out about Judah through Bruce Lee. Okay. And I didn't know G.T. Suzuki existed. They knew I existed because my life story's in the book of Revelation, right? So they knew who I was. There's this kid, and because they focused on their religious perspective in prayer with a deep meditation, they were able to be present in my life because I had an understanding who they were eternally without having to know who they were well, DT, he died a week before I was born. Judu died when I was 20. And I think that's why when I was young, I felt this real deep and intense connection to the Buddha, okay, and the line of the Buddha and the Krishna was because of Judo. Yeah. And with Titiro Suzuki, he's such an exquisite listener. And his patience through meditation to make sure that he would be there for me when I got older. Because he knew how much I would need him. And that's beautiful to me. I couldn't, in my wildest dreams, I couldn't sit down and think of the devotion of meditation and focusing on my existence to help me do what I needed to do, to help us live a life like Jesus told us we needed to live for us to sustain our needs and not destroy it with our wants. Okay, so I'm not the person to come along to make sure that we live the way Jesus wants us to live. I'm the person that is the focal point for us to live the way that Jesus needs us to live. And I do have help. I'm not doing this all by myself, and I understand that. Okay, but at this point in time, I'm the focal point, and I have to make sure it gets done, and I have to do it. And it's very difficult because of all the abuse from the selfish people that think they can do what's necessary for us to live the life that Jesus needs us to live, and circumvent my existence and try to replace it with their arrogance and their invention, which is utterly insane. But fortunately for us, the line of the Confucius and the line of Krishna and the Buddha knew, through meditation and prayer, that Christ is correct and Christ is right. And you just have to focus on the spirit of Jesus, not the book. And you have to focus on the spirit of the Buddha and Confucius, and not the groups that try to replace his faith and kindness and wisdom with their egos. Okay. And so this entertainment shit is weird. The projection of the irrational thoughts and egos of these people that produce these shows like Royal Trent and all that, it's just, these people are just not right. Okay. They're not emotionally and psychologically well. Okay. Running around engaging in philanthropy that's violent and aggressive, and seeing people that have mental and emotional disabilities as heroes and public servants and leaders and stuff. It's just incorrect. It's wrong thinking. It's bad thinking. Forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal faithful peace. We won't derive what we perceive as entertainment to give our precious time away to this kind of narcissistic, neurotic behaviors. That Clint guy told me, Graham of Thorns, it's addictive. I have no desire to watch it. I have no desire to be addicted to that kind of archaic psychosis. They had that video they showed, Rutger Hauer, that movie with the kid playing the drum, and they're in that castle, and the kids come up and they make a wooden thing with a catapult to go in there, and then they defeat them, and they're burning them all alive and taking their arms off and going out and stabbing all of them in the movie. And it's disturbing. People recreating that kind of murder and dysfunction as entertainment for a civilization. It's sick. And I don't think people understand how sick it is to keep making war movies about genocidal operations for economic status quo in the past, and then perpetuating the same dysfunction to this day. But we have homosexuals and black women being the protagonist instead of Just the Facts, Ma'am, and Harry Morgan and Colonel Potter, and Martin Milner and Kent McCord. The black guy or the black lady has to be the hero. Okay. So if Jesus turns out to be a black woman, you all gonna stand up for peace? You funny. I know I'd be funny, man. Wakanda forever, right? Dumbasses. I love me, man. I know I get this. You can't love yourself. You know, the more I post on YouTube, the more I sit and look at the resilience of the eternal spirit of the Messiah. But the thing is I've never been that type of person. I gotta learn how to love myself first. I'm not that type of person. I never hated myself. I never thought I was capable of doing selfish and jealous and horrible, despicable things. I had them attack me when I was young and it was hard. But I didn't let my jealousy get the best of me. And I just realized, I'm me and I'm content with me and I'm happy with me. And, being attracted to black women and being average, sexually, physically, in size and, whatever, stuff like that, they really attack you a lot with that. And they did. But I never felt inadequate. Even with my genitalia almost poisoned off my body by the military because they were jealous of my sexual reputation, my athletic reputation, my intellectual reputation. It's not a reputation, my actions, Even then, I still don't feel inadequate. I just feel uncomfortable about thinking about having an intimate or sexual relationship with women because my body is so abused by selfish perverts. And that's uncomfortable. You want to smell good, you want to feel good, you want to look good, you want to taste good, for someone to enjoy being with you emotionally and affectionately and romantically. And I never got to really fully enjoy that because of all their abuse. And that's wrong. And I understand that. But I don't let it make me bitter. And it just makes me work harder. So when there's kids like Judo and Suzuki and me and Haile Selassie in the future, they won't have to tolerate assholes like you all over the fucking TV. Because you are fucking assholes. Okay? You want to be a hero. I just want to love and be loved. I'm the gracious good shepherd. Okay? When people are living the ways of my life, because my life is in the book of Revelation, they'll have to look up the word president in the dictionary to find out what it meant. They'll have to look up the word first responders, law enforcement officers, heroes, scientists. I'm just kidding around. Or they'll have to look up these professionals in these professions. Okay? Roman centurion, chariot racer, soothsayer, medicine man. What was that? Hey, Google. What's medicine man? That was when people were crazy and thought they could do things with leeches and they got together in big buildings and discussed genocide through an invention called money and philanthropy to manipulate people for sick people to feel powerful. Oh, powerful, yes, to replace the glory of God with their egotistical perception. That's insane. Yes, it was quite insane. Don't know how not to go back there again? I do. Apply the physical or spirit, toot sweet. The candy you whistle, the whistle you eat. It's just nice to see that these people on TV are, as I can watch this and look at this archaic kind of get together and realize this is no different than what they did when Obama became the first brown president and Joe Biden picked up where he left off because nobody wanted Hillary Clinton as president, right? Nobody in their right mind? That's the only way Donald Trump could become president. Have him run against Hillary Clinton. Oh my God. Yeah. He won against Kamala Harris. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I thought for sure she'd win. I didn't think they could manipulate people through a minority of dysfunctional, aggressive people to be the majority. I think what happened is the young people that would have voted for Miss Harris were so jaded and so disillusioned by the whole scam of voting for professional wrestling leader that they let this happen and then went, shit, it probably would have been a lot better if we had Kamala Harris as professional wrestling commissioner than Donald Trump again. But they're just stupid. All they think about is, being famous, being an influencer through social media, having lots of money to have sex and travel the world to do documentaries on all the dysfunction through economics. But they're more brilliant than everybody else because they think they've got it all figured out, and how to fix it is by being sexy and smart and making sure that your money is made rapidly and put into the right places. Yeah. Okay. They're all fucking geniuses too. Yeah. So, they got it all figured out too. They're the smartest bunch of young people in the history of the world. The ones trying to be famous are ginormous assholes, They don't think they are. The sponsor of this video. Yeah, the sponsor of this video. And how much money did you make last year? A lot. Okay. And why are you doing it? To influence people so they pay more attention to me so I can make more money. And then do personal Ronald Reagan trickle-down economics by pissing off your balcony on them and tell them it's a golden shower and they owe you $25 for it. Yeah, there you go. Okay. It's true. This guy... James Cleveland Owens, and Jesse, a lot of you people, know him as Jesse. You find people ain't down with him, you can low down on themselves, right? I think when people can accept and understand the lowdown on themselves and offer an anonymous public forum for someone that's better than them to say it in front of other people, I think that's a big step on the way to reclaiming your humanity. I don't know about you all, but I do, so here's to people reaching out to be humble, to try to reclaim their humanity so they can truly love the people that they profess to love with their lips, but the testimony of Christ is on their lips, but not in their hearts. Let Earl reach in there and circumcise their hearts in his own unique little obnoxious way. Hey, Jesus will floor Saladin. They're his people. This is his time, and he knows what he's doing. Yeah. Okay. It's wrong to make voodoo movies about a guy getting a bloody nose and a deaf Hogan because he went in there because the job requires it. Guys, trying to get people to have a reaction to superstition and voodoo so you can make money off of playing with their eternal fears is wrong. I don't give a fuck whose memory it's in. Okay. You're being an abomination to the memory of Barboncito, Manuelito, and all those that died on the long walk and at Canyon de Chelly. Because you're doing this to draw attention to yourself for Belagana money and not Hiroso. Balance and harmony. I walk in beauty. I walk in balance. I walk in harmony. Right? I hope I said that right. It's a hard word to say. It's a very difficult language for me to say, It's hard for me to say words in Dene and Apache as it is for Patrice to say dog in Spanish. Right? Okay, guys. All right, I love you. We'll talk tomorrow. I have a lot of chores to do tomorrow, so probably hopefully talk a little bit less and I'll get more chores done. And then what? And then I'll just keep kicking you in that ass. Well, it's my job, Somebody's got to make sure that we all live the beauty of the Lord's Prayer. And somebody's got to be the standard for the technology to reflect the humility of the perception of what they refer to as supreme intelligence. And I don't see none of you with your life story in the book of Revelation read by a bunch of sociopaths on a late night AM radio broadcast back in the 1970s, or on the goofy ass pay-per-view, make money off of dysfunction and mass murder people that call themselves religious people on TV, right? Separation of church and state. No, you can't separate church from state. There is no state. There's just the church. Okay? Religion is faith based on reality. The state is mass murder over money. Thomas Jefferson didn't know what he was talking about, because apparently it's hard to be literate when you're reading a book written down, turned into fantasy, to remove the faith based on reality, unless you meet the actual people that eternally live the truth of the books. Okay? I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.